What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Last Call podcast. I am your host, Arthur G. Today, I am joined by Sarah Marie Shoulak. She's a local artist, public speaker, author, cosplayer, full-fledged nerd, and at some point a mascot for a national team. Join us as we explore her past, the motivations, her upcoming memoirs, and multiple near-death experiences. This was a fantastic show, and you'll be surprised to know it was ABV free. So let's jump into this episode and get to know her more. Cheers, guys.
To go through this process together, to think about the prompts, to go back and forth about, what are you submitting as your author photo and what are you doing? You know, it's really cute how they did it. I'm going to hide my I did for you guys. But like,
oh, that's my mama.
So they actually, I wrote that's my mama. But they like took our photos and they digitized them into these digital little sketches of us. Avatars. Yeah. And so these are the ones that I ordered, actually put my name on the top, but at the bottom, it's obviously Linda's and then all the other contributing authors, including my mama's name down there. So what I think is really great about this project, there were definitely bumps in the roads and lessons learned working with this publishing company. But it was that experience of reflecting back at a young age and looking at my life and saying, what have I learned from 21 to 31? And I don't even think I was 31 when I wrote in this book. So those are really young ages to be that reflective.
You said you weren't 21 when you wrote it?
Well, I think what I had said was 21.
Okay.
Looking back at myself. But I think that I was 30. Let me see when this book came out. My birthday goes with the years. Okay, so it printed in 22. So I was 22.
Okay.
I was 32. I go with the years adding 10.
Yeah. So it's 32 looking back at 22.
Yeah. And so when you have, but those are still very young ages to conceptualize what have I learned? You know, when you're 40 and 50 and you've gone through things and you've seen the economy do different things and people do different things and life happen to you in different ways, you have a lot more material to go by, right? And you've like kind of filtered through and seen some patterns and you kind of get that like brazen callous about you and you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this. I can tell you how it is. And it's quick because wisdom for older people is like, I've seen so much. So to be a younger person going through that, and I was the youngest person in the book, obviously, to like write my story and share these thoughts, but I got to meet the other women. We did get together. We did have book launches and to see what other women had gone through. So the reason I really like to promote this book, and I am actually giving this to...
Oh, wait, you are?
Yes, to our gracious host. That's why endorsed to you. So yes, I will pass the torch of the book. So that's for both of you. So it's awesome. really to share the other stories because I think, I still want to
read your story.
Yeah, so like self-promotion is one element of it, but then obviously there are 14 other incredible authors who share their take on it. And Linda, because she's the primary author of the book, after everybody's chapter, Linda has her own reflections of each of our chapters. So it's kind of cool to like get to know more about everyone and maybe even read the correlation between my mom's story and my story. And you
can finish the show now. Yeah. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, he's just going to go read it. He'll be back. He's going to power read it. But.
Well, first of all, thank you for the book. And second of all, that's fantastic. I did not know that it was your mom and you.
Yeah. Well, I was really just trying to have her do it. I was like, go.
No, but
take these wings and fly.
But that's awesome that one, I know that, you paid to be on it, but it was still probably a really rewarding experience to be able to do this with your mother and to be able to not only share her story, but to kind of, for that, I know you said as we get older, we have much more material to be able to make a more conscious, a more informed, I guess, assertion of what we've gone through. But still, 10 years is 10 years. Yeah. And that's a kind of also could help you look towards the future, what you want. Because if you've already done this for the last 10 years and you're like, you know what, I wish I could have done this. Well, now I know what I'm doing for the next 10.
And it did because, 2022, when we think about it, that was already 3 years ago, which it does feel like it was longer ago that we did
that.
Maybe
not?
It does. It really does. I'm like, I feel like
2022 was like a hop, skip, and jump.
There's such blurry years, though, because we were coming out of that foggy time. And I feel like everybody adds like two extra years to that foggy time.
Yeah, I feel like I lost 2 years of my life.
It's like dog years, where it just feels like we all age differently during those years.
I joke about that all the time. It's like, I feel like I lost 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
So I'll constantly forget my birth.
Yeah.
My birth.
Well, that's why I'm like, people are like, how old are you? I'm like, what year is it? Like, let's calculate. Carry the one.
Like, are we counting COVID years? Because if we are, then I guess I'm what I am.
It's like leap year.
Yeah. Well, that is still an awesome experience. I don't know, man. I wish I could do something like this with a family member, but I'm definitely going to check out at least your story and check out the rest and have Rosanna read this. This is exactly something that we would both appreciate.
Nice.
This, so
well, and that's why it's for both of you.
Oh, she's not going to get it yet.
Yeah. Just like that drink.
Just like this. I'm going to overindulge by myself and act like no one else is around. So obviously you went through a pretty cool process with this and kind of like got to reflect. Did that shape what the next 3 years turned into? Did you end up making specific goals that you might not have had before after this self-reflection?
Well, what I think is interesting about the timing of that project, now that we've confirmed when it actually happened, I stopped drinking on December 13th of 2019. And it really outs me that it took me probably about 6 years for somebody to tell me that that's actually Taylor Swift's birthday. I outed me as being not a Swiftie because I didn't pick that up sooner. But it was December 13th. That's why 13 is her lucky number thing. She has a song about it. Or
neither of us are Swifties.
So my heart is for all the Swifties, but it's not my fandom. She's great. Love her music. But anyway, so I
have no beef with her.
So December 13th, 2019 is when I quit drinking. And then I did the book project. And I feel like when you are getting sober and you're reflecting on all these things, the processes kind of overlap. Right. And I think it's just maturing, evolving and changing as a person and what that means to change with it and change your mindset, change your behaviors, change your habits, change your environment, all those different things contribute at the same time. So it's not just like I wrote this book and then it started me on this butterfly effect journey. It was the fact that everything was kind of intermeshing and changing together. So I had, by the time this book came out, 19, 20, 21, 22, I was already 3-ish years into the sobriety. I had left a kind of unhealthy relationship experience that I was in, which you guys probably had a front row seat to when we were back on the FFN days. And I had crazy roommates and the house flooding, and like there was kind of like always something happening. It was just a lot of chaos.
I remember the house flooding. I remember the crazy roommates. Yeah,
I got out of that situation. I kind of like found the peace and the calm again. I kind of like steadied the ship. I had gotten a new job, and it was really that new job that was the thing that started rolling down the mountain, right? So I had gotten sober, but the situation was still there. And so then I got this new job, and with that new job, I said, I can't bring you in, like the ex and all of this like drama and all of this stress. I'm like, I have to go out on my own. That job made me realize what I was capable of and that I was being seen by my peers and the people in my profession as somebody who could be taken seriously. And I needed to take myself seriously. And that's where I feel like the first mental switch was just to quit drinking. But then that other mental switch was to say, stop keeping these patterns in your life. Because that ex, that drama situation, that was a pattern. That was a type of person that I always gravitated to because they felt safe, they felt familiar. And I kind of had to hack off that limb or that arm and say, I'm not doing this again. I'm not keeping this pattern. I'm changing the script. I'm doing something new. And so the new job, I said, I need to get you out of my life. I need to change things. And that was really the impetus of Art House. And that I got the people out of my life. I was flipping the house and I said, I want this to be a space where art is made, love is made. It's a beautiful place that encourages people to be themselves and come here and find a space that they feel welcome. So although Art House didn't totally take off, it was that continued, those little actions that kept getting bigger as it avalanched down the mountain that said, you really need to do something with this. And I knew after writing that chapter in that book that I had the itch for writing. And I knew that there was something that I was just going to not have a tell-all, but some of my stories are pretty crazy. Some of my stories, if I told people, they would be like, what happened to you? I have like multiple near-death experiences and crazy things that happened in my family that they're not necessarily amazing or good stories, but they're just like crazy stories.
But they're impactful.
Like my grandparents, both of my grandpas had heart attacks on the same day. And one of them made it, one of them didn't. And that's like part of the shape of the fabric of my family's tapestry is the fact that this loss happened. And my grandma took her own life. And that's like, to think of like your grandma killed herself, it's like, it's very dark and it's very like weird, but it's also it informed, just like me getting that new job, and it informed all those other things that happened, that informed how our family treated one another, how my mom was kind of raised by her siblings, and that sibling relationship ends up being so strong as it's passed down that, it was really important that she always imparted that. It was really important that our siblings, me and my two brothers were a tight-knit group, because that was such an important dynamic to her, because those were essentially the people who raised her. So one thing that happens in an unrelated way years and years and years before I'm even a thought influences how the rest of my life is shaped. And so in the book, I just knew that there was a way that I could tell all of these stories, even though the subject matter is pretty heavy. And, I talk about trauma, I talk about sobriety, I talk about overcoming all these things, but I also talk about what it feels like to exist with all of these feelings inside of you. Because I think that, not that I can point to, well, that's why I had a drinking problem, but I feel like it felt so easy, and society reinforced so much that, oh, you're having a hard time? Here's a drink for you. Oh, this is a hard situation? Well, you got to have a drink to take the edge off. And I felt like, just like there's always a reason to have a cigarette, like I also quit smoking cigarettes, and there's just always a reason to have a cigarette. Like if you're a smoker, if you're stressed, have a cigarette. If you're celebrating, have a cigarette. If you're just being social and hanging out with people, we're smoking cigarettes. So it always feels like there's a reason. And so it's hard to take away those reasons and say, what is celebration or sadness, or what do these emotions look like without that vice, without that thing? And I think that realizing that and trying to put that into more concise words than I am now into my book was going to be a difficult thing. So I actually found an organization. It's a boutique publishing, what do they call it? Boutique publishing house. And it's called Soul Speak Press. And not to get too much into her story, but Jessica Buchanan, the woman who's in charge of Soul Speak Press, is probably one of the most influential women I've ever had the honor to talk to on a Zoom call. And the fact that I work with her on this project still kind of blows my mind. But you might recall, I think it was in 2008, the Somali pirate situation with the I Am the Captain Now meme that came out of it. So I don't find that funny anymore after all this stuff. But in that situation, there were two Americans kept hostage, a man and a woman, and they were later saved by SEAL Team 6, the whole movie, Obama, all that stuff you guys might remember. And Jessica Buchanan was the woman who was held hostage for 90 days in the Somali desert by these pirates. She came back, I have goosebumps already, she came back and said, I need to get this story out of my mind and out of my heart. I have to put this onto words. One, so I don't forget it and I remember what happened to me. Two, that it's saved for posterity and other people know what I went through. But then also the process of it is just so cathartic. And so the goal of this publishing house is actually to work with women who have a little bit grittier memoir manifestos that they want to get out, that other people would be like, that's a little, we're not going to touch that. And so for me to approach them, I wrote through their website. I said, hey, I have this idea for a book. And that's where we didn't really have the title yet. But I was like, I want to write about death, a lot of death. I want to talk about when I almost died, when people around me died. And what's weird about it is that I just feel like it's almost like sobriety, that people hear the word sobriety and they get all like ooked out, I have a tablecloth for our organization that says Sober Betties. And when people see us as pinups, they're like, look at these women. Women are looking so good. And then you can watch their eyes hit the tablecloth because they're like, ooh, like they just immediately like pull their drink in, scowl on their face, like, whoa, I can't have been smiling at these women because it says sober and that makes me uncomfortable. And so, I don't know, the saying or the mantra I keep saying is I'm here to make it weird.
I don't get it. Like, everyone should be able to allowed to live the life that they want to live. I think they're
worried that we're going to evangelize and we're going to be like, alcohol is the demon and,
Okay, so you stand there and if you started doing that, I walk away then.
But what's even funnier is people are more volunteering how much they drink to us. Like, we'll just be like, hey, we're a group that doesn't drink all that much. And they're like, I only do it twice a day with other people present. And it's only this with lots of ice. Like, no, but it's just funny because it's all the time. Like, if you say, hey, this is what I'm doing, everyone's like, like I'm having the flashlight in their face. Like, where were you last night? Like, how much do you drink?
Yeah. No, and that's 100% fair. Yeah. Because you are right. There are those people that will yell at you and call you a heathen and do all those things. Oh, yeah. But I think maybe I'm at that age that I'm right there, like the grumpy old man age, was like, you just do whatever makes you happy. Like if I walked up and I saw, oh, Sober Buddies 1, I'd be like, I know who you guys are. And I would still enjoy whatever I was doing. It was like, how's everything going?
Well, you're not fragile.
Yeah, I'm honestly probably meaner than I need to be.
Same.
Welcome to the Last Call podcast therapy session about the being meaner than I need to be. Not like, but I think it's just, what's it called? What's the term? When people are seeing the reflection of what they might worry about is going on with
Projecting.
them. Yeah, but there we go. I don't know why I just overcomplicated the word projecting. It has been that kind of day. It's during the week, okay? Normally I get more. Shut up. All of you at home is like yelling at the...
It's a school night.
Everyone yelling at the screen right now. I was like, projecting. I know. Okay, this isn't trivia. Shut up. We got there.
We get a Pictionary. We can start drawing it out for y'all.
Just start drawing. It's like, is it a camel? No. What? Like, jackass.
It's Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. No, but there sometimes people do feel kind of like an inner guilt. Mm-hmm. And then there are times when people have been guilted because, oh, is that what you do? I could never do that. Because I've interacted with those people too. So, not here to judge anyone's reaction, but I am very, honestly, happy to see the journey's been going well for you and everything improved. And like you said, we were there. We were relatively close. I saw you pretty often. Yeah. Which was funny because I was like, I wonder if Sarah would come through. I was like, wait, what am I talking about? Like, we would have done this in the past. But I knew that Bourbon and BS, the previous name, wasn't going to necessarily work and align with what you were doing.
Those were the two exact things I was eliminating from my life at that moment. I was like, oh, bourbon and bullshit? No, thank you.
Like, oh, you want to come on a Bourbon and BS podcast? I literally just moved away from all of that. No. But I'm very happy and proud of you for everything you've done because it's been a very long journey. Yeah. And as someone who has seen you stressed out and heard the stressful stories and been there.
Don't I look so much lighter?
You always looked fabulous, dear. But yes.
No, I don't mean like physically lighter. I mean like my essence.
No, we're always happy and projecting. Yeah. And I think you're always projecting happiness and positivity when you're around us. But it's only because we were close that we knew what was going on. Yeah. So I'm happy everything turned out well and things are going very well in your life. And soon you'll have, I was about to say. I don't have a ring. Rosanna, I need a ring. No, sorry, don't. She might think I'm actually calling her. She's like, yeah, just looking for a ring. You rang. No, she would punch me. Don't you yell. I guess. But we're going to take a quick break. Yeah. I'm going to get water or something else to drink because I've been talking all goddamn day. And when we get back, we're going to get to know more about you, your creative journey, you giving full speeches in very nice blazers, by the way. I saw the pictures.
I have a tailor. I'll give you a number.
Is it you? Are you the tailor?
I'm not the tailor. I really have I have a guy and a girl. It depends on what you need.
Because I thought you used to make costumes and do all that stuff.
So I do have a tattoo. Yes.
We'll be back.
Stay tuned. That'll be the teaser before that.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you in part by Coach John Estrada of Run BMT Training. Longtime supporter of the show and an absolute beast on the pavement. And for the record, this man just crushed the LA Marathon. And if you're looking to level up your running game, John's the coach to get you there. That's John with no H. Trust me, he's going to correct you. Whether you're training for your first 5K or tackling a full marathon, Run BMT, the coach is there, and John will have you running smarter, faster, and injury-free. So if you need expert coaching, hit up John at blackmattertraining.com and tell him I sent you. Now, he might not give you a discount, but he will make you a better runner. Again, that's John at blackmattertraining.com. Now let's get back to it. Thanks, guys.
One of the tailors that I work with is a representative from an organization called Tom James. Tom James makes custom clothes for you. So if you do need a custom suit, if you do need to really look, all buttoned up. So when I was in the nonprofit space and I was always having to go rub elbows with commissioners and go, look for grant funding and stuff, I got a few tailored suits made. Now, that is not the same thing as my tailor. So my rep at Tom James is from the ground up. If you want to pick your fabrics, pick your lining, make a suit. That I actually did one for my fiance, and I did the lining, and it has little Pegasus stars because he went to UCF, Go Knights. And so for me, when I need to add those pieces to my closet, that's when I go with her. But if I just have something that I need taken in or shortened or something like that, I have a tailor guy who is very cheap, very reasonable, and very, very skilled. And so he's even helped me with some cosplay things. My fiance Jordan was cosplaying Loki in the jumpsuit, the TVA jumpsuit. And if you look at how Loki wears that outfit, there's an undershirt that has a collar. But then it's it's kind of like coveralls, the brown jumpsuit that he's actually wearing. There's no collar. And it has a collar that almost looks like a baseball jersey where it's just kind of scalloped around the sides. So I had bought coveralls that were the right color, the right size, the right everything to be that outer jumpsuit, the beige, but it had a collar. And so the way it looked was the blue collar stacking on top of it. So I asked this tailor guy, can you make this collar like this? And so that's why I'm like, depends on what you need, because they're very different skill sets. Like one is very fancy, very expensive, ground up tailored clothes made for you. And then the other one is like, I had a pair of men's swim trunks that I loved wearing, but they were too wide they were too big at the waist. I needed them taken in, but the hips were fine, but the waist was baggy. And he just tightened them up because they were men's and I needed them to have more curve. And I love wearing men's swim trunks. They're like very comfy, but they just didn't fit right. So if you just need that tightened up, he's in the Curry Ford West area.
Good to know. All right, well,
so DM me. I'll give you the deets.
I was about to say,
Nothing gets for free.
I'll give you details, but
tell them I sent you. Yeah.
Tell them Sarah sent you and buy a book.
Oh, yeah, and buy a book.
You heard it here. Buy the damn book. So you said that you got into speaking. You were doing it since you were 18. You were learning how to, especially, I thought it was really interesting for you to hit on the fact that finding a way to balance the creative and the professional side has always been something that's challenging for a lot of people. You hear the phrase starving artist repeatedly because for some reason being an artist is almost entirely seen as synonymous with being bad at business.
Or like a musician, or that you're just a deadbeat. You're never going to make it. What are you going to amount to? Yeah.
Granted, it is both are skills that you have to learn. No one's just brought up and born knowing business savvy. No one's brought up and just a natural artist without practicing or training at his craft. I mean, there are prodigies out there, but that's not all of us.
Yeah.
So if the desire is there, the ability, you can get those skill sets. So I do think that it's really cool that you brought that up, because I do agree that in order for you to become a successful artist, you either hire someone to do the business part or you learn how to do it your damn self.
Right.
Because who else is going to look out for you better than you?
Well, and I was actually, so at the time that all this was happening, at the time that I was in graduate school, I was in grad school at go Canes, and at the same time I was teaching at FIU. So I was in this graduate program, but I was working over at FIU. And until I got my master's degree, I wasn't allowed to teach yet, but I could work in their communication arts department. I could be involved in helping students and coaching and tutoring. And then as soon as I got my master's, they let me have my own class, which is very intimidating as a young person. I was 25. I just popped out of grad school, and all
Did you say you got your master's at 25?
I did.
What was it? What was the degree?
Communication studies. Okay. And then I went and bought my first house by myself.
At 25.
No cosigner at 25. And that was a good economy to buy that house for $176,000.
For how much?
$176,000.
First of all, sir, that was a very light flex. All of that was a flex, and I appreciate it. So I'm a golf topper. I'm white topper. Like, cause hell yeah.
So I was proud of these things happening, but at the same time, I was, if you recall, drinking myself into oblivion. It's like I wasn't really like doing the best, but I was like, look at all these accolades. You can't think I'm a messy person. They're sloppy because look at I'm doing all these things. So I was teaching, and when you're talking about having that struggle of you either get better at the things you're not good at or you hire someone to do it, I remember that students would come up to me in that first class, and they would come up to me and they said, Ms. Shoulak, what should I do for my career? What should I do? Kind of that guidance counselor kind of moment when you're walking after class. And I was always happy to talk to them, but I was going to be honest with them, because I was not going to be one of those people. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Sometimes you have skills that can make you money and then bankroll the things you really love to do. Unpopular opinion for a teacher, but it's the most real take that I was going to give it to them, because everybody wants to say, I don't want to work for the man. I want to work for myself. You do not want to work for yourself, because I promise you that to-do list of what you have to do for yourself is 800 times longer than what the man wants you to do. So do I want you to sell out and hurt yourself and exploit yourself? No. But are you maybe better at Maybe you're a guru at math and numbers, and you can just go and be a CPA, and you can like through numbers, and then you go off and take a bunch of cruises and go bungee jumping and go whatever. Does that mean you should go be a professional paraglider person because you really love like adventure things? No. Do the thing that makes you money so you can go do the things you love. Sometimes that's the best way to do it. And sometimes the two go together, but not always.
I have been telling people that for the longest time. Because especially when you think about we're on my creative outlet, right? Yeah. This is my show. Mm-hmm. And I joke because people are like, oh, I have friends and peers. Oh, I love my job. Blah, blah. You have to find something you love. It's like, I love hanging out with my friends, drinking and talking. I can't do that right now and get paid a livable wage. And so when people are like, what's your passion for work? And I keep trying to hammer this into someone's head. It's like, a job's a job. If I do it well, it gives me good work-life balance and I get paid well enough to do the things I enjoy. Yeah. I don't care what the job is.
Right.
I mean, outside of being immoral and some evil shit, I'm not working. We're not getting into that side of it. But there's some things I just think, hey, perfect example. I used to be a store manager for a company. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, well, that must have been miserable. It paid well. It gave me work-life balance and I could do whatever the hell I wanted. Right. It's like, oh, why'd you leave? Because this one gave me better work-life balance.
Right.
And it was just because I want to be able to do these kind of projects, these kind of things. And I go, but what do you want to do? It's like, not work. I don't know what you mean. That's the goal.
Make as much money as possible and then retire and save and feel comfortable. And honestly, not to always go into, but I'm here to make it weird, right? So a lot of my things that I bring up and the examples that I have are maybe a little unpopular or not the things that everybody talks about, but I deal with chronic pain. Mm-hmm. And when I deal with chronic pain, so I broke my back when I was 15. That was one of my near-death experiences. I was in another accident not too long after where I was strangled by a boat rope thing.
Oh, that one I didn't know. I knew about the back.
Yeah. So I had a couple of like kind of back-to-back. It's in the book. And so obviously, like, you know, I've got like back issues, I've got neck issues, I've got those kinds of things. I've tried steroid injections, I've tried all this different stuff. And then later in life, I did get diagnosed as immunocompromised. So when I have all these different things, retirement for me looks different because I have to think of how is my medical situation going to look. And I know that everybody has that to some extent, but I've been living that since I was probably around that time I'm talking about in Miami, was the time that I herniated my disc. So on top of all of those compound things that I had growing up with those near-death experiences, I then ended up herniating a disc pretty significantly on top of that because I was doing MMA. I was trying to do Muay Thai boxing and ended up like over excruciating myself. Died. And so now I say I'm a lover, not a fighter, because I kind of gave up all those days of, you know, taking it out on the mat and realizing where are my other outlets for these emotions that maybe I was trying to take it out in alcohol and aggression and fighting sports. Now that I'm like, okay, I can't drink and I can't punch things. What have I got? I've got meditation and gratitude. Sweet. So
hey, there's a balance.
I know.
Honestly, there's a balance. No, and but I do want to kind of circle back to, because there's still credit to be given for getting those and maybe understanding your outlook is going to look different than everyone else's. Right. Probably lit a fire under your ass to, I need to make sure I'm well ahead of the curve.
Right.
Because if not, people are like, oh, there's plenty of time in life. I don't know, man.
Not really.
Not really.
Especially and it is, I'm only 35 right now. Mm-hmm. And so for the fact that I am writing a memoir manifesto that's coming out in 2026, and I'm still, by the time it comes out, I'll still only be 35. I don't think it's going to come out before my birthday next year in April. And when people look at that, and, you know, my partner included, when people look back and they say, isn't memoir writing for like successful people, like older people, like we were talking about with this Wisdom Before Me book, you know, people who've had this like rich history of, oh, I did all these things and I have all this knowledge to impart and just wait for me to tell you. I'm kind of like, I don't have time to wait around for that. I don't have time to wait for me to be a 90-year-old on a porch trying to remember what I do remember. I've had all these near-death experiences. I got to get it out now. And if I'm lucky enough to have all those more years, I will write a sequel. There will be a round two.
Well, that, and I got to say something that's going to sound rude. And I'm not trying to be just overly, I'm not putting everyone in their blanket and just saying this is for everyone. Some of those memoirs might not be relatable because they're so far removed from what
I think about that a lot too. And I actually think about it in my reason for getting sober, because you kind of ask a little bit, but it is a misconception that people think that you have to have lost everything to change and to make this go away. And it reminds me of people who would wait until a doctor would say you're dying to change your health and your lifestyle habits. Obviously, we're not perfect. Obviously, we're not all eating non-inflammatory diets and all these different things. But if you are living your life to the point that it would take a doctor looking at a chart and being like, you're going to die if you don't make these changes. If that's what it would take for you to even consider making any of these changes, that's pretty tough. stuff. And if anything, what I kind of hope my book
Some of
does.
those people don't always get that.
No, and you don't get that. You really, these days in the medical field, you almost have to ask them, like, am I dying, and have them confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to just overtly be like, you need to change, because they don't even make that heavy-handed of recommendations anymore. It's mostly like, you can ask them, do you think I could do this? Is this smart for my lifestyle, my stuff? But my whole point is, other people will say it's never too late to XYZ, and my whole point is it's never too early.
Yes. That's fair. I think, well, I've shared it on the show before for anyone who's listened. I think I was 25. I was like 260 pounds. I was a big boy. But I was just working overnights. I didn't care about my health. And a doctor's like, hey, you need to get a high blood pressure meds. And this is where it's really dumb, because you're going to think this is an inspirational story. And I'm like, no, I just changed my diet. He's like, yeah, people say they're going to do that and they never do. And it wasn't like I was determined to get healthy. It was I was determined to call him a dick and prove him wrong.
Yeah.
And it changed everything for me.
Right.
I found a different reason for it, but through that being petty,
Stubbornness, yeah.
stubbornness and pettiness, I discovered that like it was important to me to not want to be the 85-year-old that had to be carried around or walked around or be incontinent, or someone who couldn't get out of bed without needing like multiple devices next to his bed to help him out. It dawned on me, like, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Like, and it because of that pettiness of like making sure I'm stretching and making sure I'm doing this and being conscious of all my movements and behaviors and healthier eating habits. I'll be fair. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not the healthiest now that I've been in my life, but I'm also not the worst I've ever been in my life.
Exactly.
And I think that there's something to be said about that balance too. Because if I feel like I'm constantly living my life very strict, very like not enjoying a single thing, I could die slipping out of a tub.
Right. Right. Well, and I feel like that goes back into that purpose of the book and that context and the title, right? So Dead Serious, How Death Made Me Laugh at Life. And in the process of writing the book, I think what I realized is that it's not exactly ha-ha funny. I'm laughing now.
Not exactly ha-ha funny.
It's a lot of like the aw funny. Like it's
Please tell me you're going to put not exactly ha-ha funny somewhere in that book.
I mean, here's the thing. I think that there's a beauty to people wanting to support my project and being like, ooh, this is so cool. My friend Sarah wrote a book. Check it out. But at the same time...
My friend Sarah wrote a book.
Yeah, but at the same time, my first thing is like, it's not a cookbook. Like, can we like bring it down a notch? Because I don't need you like gifting these to anybody and everybody. And it's almost like I want to do anti-marketing for my memoir, because the book is heavy subjects, right? Yeah. So there's going to be a whole contingent, a whole group of people who just don't want to read it because they don't want to get triggered. And the subjects of death, the subjects of suicide, the subjects of trauma, the subjects of things that I went through, it's not easy reading, right? So it's not going to be everybody's favorite book to pick up and be like, wow, I can't wait to mow through this, right? It's going to be some heavy reading. You might pick it up, read a couple anecdotes, put it down. You may never really read past the introduction. The whole idea is to share some of these stories so that people go, and they do relate to it, and they go, actually, that does sound pretty much like my life, because I was also raised in the Midwest, or I also was a middle child or the only girl, or I also saw people around me kind of drinking and smoking all the time. So it just made sense that I came up with these habits. So it's not necessarily that everything has this huge, like, you know, you were trapped in a closet for 7 years being abused by a family. You know, it's not all those level of messed up things that happen to you. I think we'll save that for the Netflix documentaries, right? But sharing stories like mine where people pick it up and they go, yeah, oh yeah, right? And at least I am the kind of person who's been obsessively introspective since I was a very young person, right? You know, reading self-help books at 13, joining Toastmasters by 18. I was telling stories about my life experience at 18 in Toastmasters, like getting up there and be like, let me tell you guys about cheese moving and these mice in this book I read.
Cheese moving?
It's a Who Moved My Cheese. It is a business book. And it talks about adapting to change in your life, this whole Who Moved My Cheese book. Okay. But I was the type of person who would not only know that concept exists, but be able to communicate it back. And so I feel like by doing that with some of my stories and some of my anecdotes, I hope to just share it and then have people realize, I mean, I told you about my degrees, right? I studied communication, but not like mass comm and journalism. I studied almost like sociology and anthropology, like how and why humans communicate. That was my undergraduate and then going into my graduate studies. So it was like focus groups and, you know, actually studying how and why people communicate. And if this impacted or if this stimuli or impetus happened, what is the outcome and what is the result and how can we predict these kinds of things? So I almost looked at it as more of a science than a soft skill. But then I graduated and people were like, you can run my Twitter, right? Because it's like they hear communication, they think mass comm and journalism. So I'm like, yes, I know how to write emails. I can do that too. I'm happy to do that, which is how I kind of found that confluence of HR living in the middle between studying people and doing things for them. So that's how HR ended up in my docket, because I didn't study HR. That wasn't my curriculum. But I really liked it. I really found it fascinating. So if I can use some of my collegiate lenses, if I can use some of what I studied and how I interpreted my own life to help people interpret theirs, I just think it's a really valuable tool.
That was like it's almost like you knew the questions in advance. So there was no. So you do describe yourself as a Jill of all trades, and it does seem like a lot of these skill sets and your role in the corporate world and your passion projects and all this revolve kind of like these almost identities interject and kind of become colluous. Like with our powers combined, you become a superhero at some point. Obviously, yes. You're still alive with all the things you've gone through. Yeah. So at this point, I'm thinking from the movie Unbreakable.
Don't jinx it, Arthur. Sorry, I'm knocking on wood now.
Well, it works. Yeah. But my point is, do you feel that being able to, now this is where the creative side comes out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Creates, one thing that people don't, if you're not creative, you don't understand is you want to explore very different avenues for the same energy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how else can I show this? I'm going to learn photography. Yeah. How am I else going to learn this? I'm going to learn architecture. Yeah. Do you feel that what you've done is just basically split up portions of yourself?
Well, I feel like when I was younger and I was in that dialectical tension that we were talking about of I have to either be creative or I have to be professional. And the more creative things I do, the more unprofessional I'll appear. And the more professional things I do, the more fish out of water I'll feel in the creative world, because I'll feel like a poser, like I'm really this stuffy business person pretending to be an artist. And so there's a lot of, you have to start with you. So first and foremost, absolutely start with getting to know yourself, because I feel like even though I had a very confident, extroverted way about me, it was so fake. It was very superficial. I mean, I was living in Miami. I was just kind of going through the motions. I feel like I was kind of chasing the wrong dream to a point. And now when I look at all of the different things I'm doing, I feel like when I was involved in a lot of different things before, it did feel like just grasping at straws or throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck and being like, maybe I'll be good at this. Maybe I'll go be, I was a professional soccer mascot for an MLS team when I was out in Colorado, the Colorado Rapids Soccer Club. That's not a thing I knew. There are, they actually
You were a professional mascot?
I was a professional mascot. And I have some beef with them, honestly. I could like read their tea leaves here, because what happens is, that Colorado Rapids MLS team, they have 4 mascots. Okay? Because it's like the 4 cardinal directions. They're super extra. They have 4 mascots. So I was one of the 4 mascots. I was Franz the Fox, which I think is great because Franz is actually a family name. So I was Franz the Fox.
I'm really looking up the mascot. I'm putting
it's for real. It is very real.
No, I believe you, but
Please,
I'm going to put it.
It's so good. I have pictures. I'll share them with you. But my beef with them is that they would make me go out and do public appearances, and they would not give me a handler. And that is like rookie amateur hour, day 1, a mascot needs a handler, because I couldn't get dressed on my own. I was like getting dressed in the thing by myself and like coming out, and I've still got the bag. You don't have anybody to watch your bag when you don't have a handler. You have all these blind spots, people coming up behind you, kids punching you in the face because they always assume you're a man in the suit, especially for a soccer team. They just like assume that it's a dude in the character costume. So that's when I realized I have altitude-induced asthma. Could not do the mascot thing anymore. But so I feel like before, when I did things, it was just for that crazy factor of like, why not? Like the improv life of like, yes, and like, let's just go do these things. There was also a service in Miami that was called like, I think it was called like Kids Cafe or Kids Lunch or something like that. And I was literally like, I would assemble lunches for rich people's kids and then go deliver them to these like really bougie private schools around Miami Beach, because they would like sign up for this Kids Cafe, Kids Lunch program. Like I was the one making the sandwiches and delivering them. Like the things that I have done are so random, and they're just always because I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So when I look at where I am today, And yes, in my day job, I'm an HR lady. And then I kind of joke that both my right and left brain started a company. So creatively, I am Cluos. I do the creative consultation. That's everything from painting murals to painting bodies. It kind of starts with a brush and goes out from there. But it's really whatever people want to bring to life. And then professionally, I have a consulting business with my mom that we call Relatively Speaking, because we're relatives and we're speaking. And we've done facilitation. We've done.
Why are you picking such adorable names?
Well, she made that one up. And then
this is why she's on page 23 of this book.
It is. And that's, what's funny about when you asked if it was okay to give my government name or whatnot. So I am publishing my book under my full maiden name of Sarah Marie Shoulak. And it's funny if you clarified that it was okay, because Cluos backwards is my last name.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to pick that up.
Not everyone is going to pick that up, but it's always funny when people realize it. And the reason I did it is I would joke that art was the opposite of what my family wanted me to do. So I took it, and so my students couldn't find me. So it was this kind of, because I was doing body painting. It's like my nipple and butt out on the internet. And it's like, you kind of want to just protect them from that.
There are a couple creepy dudes that just paused this.
Oops.
just, when they come back, for a second, they're looking. But no, it's cool that I think that fact that you said that your creative and your professional side, your two sides of your brain started a company. Yeah. Because no matter what, all the creative things require business savvy.
Right. Or you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Like if you get booked to do a mural, you have to have enough business savvy to know how to quote it, to know where to source your materials, to know how much time you're going to need for prep, to know what other things beyond the paint and the brushes that you'll need. Do you need a lift? Do you need an extender? Do you need, do you need liability insurance? Like there are things you have to consider.
What kind of paint can you use?
All of that stuff. Like, do you need to prime it? Do you need to prep the wall? And that's part of the reason why I only want to do indoor murals, because it's Florida.
I was going to say, where is the mural? Yeah. Is there going to be rain?
Oh, yeah.
Do I have to worry about a tent?
Especially with my body, I can't do as many murals and I can't do as many big murals, and I will price them higher because it takes a lot more out of me to even do something small. So I may not be the right person for you, but that's why I call myself a creative consultant. Is like, let's talk about it for free. Let's figure out what you want to do. If it's something in my wheelhouse, I'll give you a quote for it, or I can connect you with any number of people because I don't have an ego, because I don't really care, right? Because I have a day job. So it does allow me to have the creative side be a more passion project. And I feel like the more authentically that I do all these things, whether it's because I can speak about my book, or I can speak about the Sober Betties and the sobriety journey, or I can speak about the nonprofit that we do, and the other intersectionality of all of those things that you mentioned on my CV right now. A lot of intersectionality of that is family, because the HR that I do is that I work with my family, and the nonprofit that we have is a family nonprofit. It's called Shoulak Breastfest Music Festivals. It's actually coming up in a few weeks, depending on when this releases, on Saturday, September 27th. And it is in a few weeks.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it will be released before that.
And so what we do, this is actually our 15th year doing it. We have raised over $550,000, over $250,000 for breast cancer research. We don't keep proceeds on top of operational expenses. We take the funds that come in and we divide it and share it between 5 or 6 charitable partners in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area, and that's what we do. We've been doing it. Obviously, this is the 15th year, so it's our platinum edition. Very exciting anniversary that we're having. So we always either have it at the end of September or early October. And you can see just the synergy between all of these things, because my mom is a cancer survivor, so our family started this nonprofit. But then I work with my mom and she inspires me, so we do these projects together. And so it no longer feels like I'm just grabbing at these crazy opportunities to be like, maybe this will make me feel like belonging, or maybe this is what I'm supposed to do.
Maybe this will fill the void that I'm having.
No, yeah, exactly. So it's like maybe I needed to fill my own void and realize that I was missing that relationship with myself, and that these external things are not what's going to solve that. That by being a whole person, and I have a workshop that I want to pitch and go around and share with people, where it just talks about getting in touch with your authentic heart. And there are 3 main things that I walk people through, that it involves not only love, but also trust and respect, and how those 3 things are very different in terms of getting to know your heart, and then letting those around you get close to you at those different levels, based on you knowing yourself first, and then being able to actually maintain those healthy boundaries.
That's awesome. You had a lot going on.
I have a lot going on.
I feel like you have an endless amount of energy, but I'm sure you're tired at all times, just like you.
I'm a gregarious introvert.
Go on.
Because being introverted or extroverted is when you recharge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am introverted, although I don't look like it because I'm gregarious. So I'm bubbly because I know how to be on camera and I know how to interact with people. But when I'm driving, you think I look like this? You think I'm driving around going, oh, like, life is great. Like, no, I'm a curmudgeon just like everybody else.
That
I'm
would
like
be the
this.
most frightening fucking thing. If I just saw something, ma'am, stop! Are you following
You'd
me?
be like calling a wellness check. Be like, this car next to me, she's just way too happy.
This gray Honda Accord, you need to follow it. Like I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
But I love all of that, and it feels like you have so much going on and everything there. Like you said, you're a gregarious introvert.
Yeah.
But do you feel that there's? I don't know how to word it nicely.
I know. It wasn't one of the ones he wrote ahead of time.
It wasn't. No, but do you feel that at some point, we talk about like people have to recharge when you are just sitting around? Are there moments where you still feel like anxious, like you need to be doing something, like you need to move around, like you need to like run around and catch up on things? Or is there ever a time where you're just like, I've done enough for a little bit?
I think that is the struggle. And I think that what happens is,
I was going to say, like,
so
the not nice way was like, do you feel like there's a, like, you just shut the fuck down?
Well, I feel like,
just like
what'll happen is your body will shut down for you. When you make it go that far, your body will, especially as an immunocompromised person, if I overwork now with Hashimoto's thyroid disorder, my body just absolutely shuts down. My body will just be like, nope, and then like power down on me. And things will just like start shutting off and things like that. So I can kind of tell now that I'm like aware of it and I can keep an eye out for those symptoms and changes. But another thing that is a misconception about sobriety or big life changes in general, when they make it feel like you're going to wave a magic wand and then like, poof. Oh, you quit drinking? Poof. No more hangovers. You're a Disney princess. Your world is floating by and animals land on your hand. Like, It's not like that at all. And if anything, getting sober or making big life changes, like it could be getting gluten out of your diet. It doesn't have to be getting like sober. It doesn't have to be that big and dramatic. It could be a boundary with a family member or a friend.
It could be as simple as changing your sleep schedule.
It could be anything. Like I worked overnights. That's a really great example. So anytime there's a big change, you have to deal with the ramifications and the outcomes of that big change. So for me, once I got sober, what I was doing was I thought that getting sober was going to be like a linchpin. That the minute that I put that key in the door and I got sober and my world opened up and this person was going to treat me better and these problems were going to be gone in my life. And what it really did was it made me realize how much of an asshole I am in one part, because you start to realize how much alcohol and addiction was something easy to blame, right? Oh, I didn't do that. I was drunk. Oh, that wasn't me. I was drunk. Everybody was drinking. It's like
the movie Split. That wasn't me. That was Patricia.
It becomes the scapegoat for everything. All of your bad choices. Oh, it was drinking. It was this. Well, we were just having a good time. It was XYZ. And then you start to realize, oh, I actually I'm not good at maintaining healthy relationships. What does it mean to be a good friend? What does it mean to keep in touch with people? What does it mean to have this relationship be equal if I'm doing all of the reaching out and this person never does any reaching out, but then I'm like showering them with gifts? Seems kind of unequal. Like maybe I don't need to cut them out of my life, but I'm probably going to stop showering them with gifts if they don't even check in on me, right? So it starts to realize once you pull the veil away of whatever your change is, so for me it was the sobriety, you start to realize all this other gunk that comes up. And, in therapy land, they call this the shadow work part of it, where it's really that mucky gunk that you go through. And so if you go on Instagram and go to my full name, Sarah Marie Shoulak, on Instagram, a lot of my content these days that I'm sharing videos about is like, what does this stuff feel like to go through? We talk about these feelings, but we still have this desire to bottle things up. And so rather than bottling it up and putting it into an alcohol bottle or worse, and then having really negative habits or harmful habits, what does it mean to go through these things? Because chances are, without needing to be kidnapped or have like horrible, terrible, like the most abusive situations on the planet, you've probably gone through some of these prickly situations and maybe you didn't realize how you were handling them and how some of the patterns are coming up in your life.
Okay. Yeah. So we're getting close to that time because I know we have to respect your time and your 9 to 5. So But
it is a school night.
I sleep less. I don't need sleep. But by the time you leave,
sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, I'll probably be editing this, so it'll be fun. But Sarah, like, I think that there's so much more that you could probably offer and give people information. Obviously, you're writing a memoir, you're obviously speaking at. There was a convention that you hinted at earlier, or you talked about briefly earlier.
So there's an organization here in the Central Florida area. It is called the Women's Executive Council.
There we go.
And the reason I love bringing them up, I haven't been involved with them as much recently, but it was during the pandemic where I had been laid off from my job because my role was eliminated. So I was unemployed. I was taking a chance on myself and I was deciding to go be clueless. It was the end of 2020. It was the start of 2021, and I said, I'm not going to get another 9 to 5. I'm not going to get something to replace the day-to-day. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take this as like the kismet leap of faith. It's just the time that I'm supposed to do this. And I went out on my own. And at that time, because I didn't have coworkers and the pandemic was kind of raging, I found a women's group. And so I had done some research about which ones to join. The Women's Executive Council is great here in the Central Florida, Orlando area. They give out scholarships every year to women around the area. So women apply. They give out these, I think it's in the amount of $19.52 because that's the year they were founded. So they get $1,952. It's super cute. We actually stole the idea. And now we do that at Breastfest, that we give out a scholarship because we had a very prominent volunteer who was very close to us who sadly passed away. So now we give a scholarship donation in the amount of the year of her birth so that it's kind of paying homage to it in that way. I lost where we were at.
Women Executive.
Yes, Women's Executive Council. So WEC, they're having their WA Awards, Women's Achievement Awards. And so WA, Women Achievement Awards, happen every year. And that is their big gala that helps them raise the funds for a lot of these scholarships because it's a gala. So it's this fundraising opportunity. They're selling tables, and you can go and then find out who the winners are. So I have been nominated for a Women's Achievement Award.
Congratulations.
And so I won't know if I won it until October. Oh. But if you check out the Women's Executive Council website, they have information about WA. If you want to go, if you want to support me, be at my table, see if I win. It's going to be a really fun time. And it's great networking of really powerful people in the Orlando area because the people who get nominated, I mean, not me, but other people who get nominated are like really great.
You're not going to fight about negative talk. Okay. We're going to argue.
I love myself a lot.
Okay. We're going to fight about it later. Off air.
He's giving me a dad look.
Big brother look.
Yeah,
I've known you for way too damn long.
I know.
To be doing this negative
I am
shit in front of this. I wouldn't have called you if you were terrible.
Win.
Okay, you better win. Positive thoughts.
Positive thoughts.
We're going to get to last before we close out because I want to make sure that we get to them. One, what's the first step you would give someone to encourage someone to take when everything feels overwhelming? What's the first step you would give them? Because you have combated a lot. You've almost died more times than I realized. Yeah. You had to be a mascot. You had the joke. I got to be funny. Shut up. So now almost like, this is serious, Arthur. Shut up. The whole thing is she laughs at her trauma. You've been through all these things. What's the first step that you would give someone? You earlier mentioned love yourself and figure yourself out, but what's the first thing you would say?
Breathe. Because it's the first step.
Yeah.
I really mean it, because if you're talking about that moment, and I know that moment because I felt that moment, like you said, more times than I probably should have. But that moment where it actually feels like everything is too much, your heart is up here. Mm-hmm. You feel so choked up. You feel like if you threw up, your heart just might like plop out on the table. Like you are so up to here with life. You feel like you're drowning. When I was in the thick of that relationship with the flooding and the people and the everything that I was dealing with, I would describe myself as a husk of a person. It felt like a shell. It felt like I don't have an essence. I don't have a spark. I am putting one foot in front of the other. And I had to show up because I was still a college professor at that time. So by that time I was teaching at Valencia. And I write in my book that it was actually so much of the inspiration that I took from my students and watching these kids who are English as a second language, who are watching these kids who are first year, whether it's first year immigrant, first year going to college, first person in their generation doing this and changing patterns and saying, I'm going to do something different. I had single parents. I had young parents. I had people who were older than me. I'm getting the goosebumps again. I'll get choked up. But it was because I was watching their grit and perseverance and them showing up every day to do something that scared them, that I said, I can't quit now. I can't give up. So I feel like the first thing being breathe is really important, because you're probably not doing that. You're probably not taking those big expansive breaths. And so that's one. I want you to do 3. Pause it, do 2 more, because they're really valuable. And there are some times that I just do that, whether it's breathing exercises where you count on your hand or do whatever. There's so many resources. But the reason why I say breathe as that first suggestion to do is that it reminds you to get in touch with yourself, to be present in that moment, not with the what ifs, not with the spiraling or doom scrolling or anything like that. Like, shut it all off, close your eyes and just breathe. Because chances are you're going to realize how much safer you feel than you think you feel, that your fight or flight is just kind of bugged out. And for me, I think, what do they call it? Like when there's just like too much sensitivity and then you're like numb to any of the emotion, where it's just like, I feel like my fight or flight was just on too long, that I like, you know, like when you're, for the techie people, like when you get a dead pixel or you have like that ghosting from something being on the screen too long, like I had that. And it took me a long time to like rewire my way of thinking and my nervous system to be like, I am not in a crisis mode. Like things might be happening that I need to respond to with promptness, with, you know, I need to not dilly-dally. I need to handle it. I need to address it quickly. But do I need to like go into a manic rage, and do I need to feel psychotic about it? And the thing about breathing is the first one. But then once you've kind of stepped back from it, you start to see the patterns. And the reason why I say that you're looking for patterns is that people want to look for problems. They want to look at something in their life and go, that's what's wrong. They want to look at something and prescribe it. So you're not looking for problems, you're looking for patterns. Because if you look at a problem, you're scapegoating. You're playing the blame game. You're saying, well, my job is what's making me unhappy. Or this, I need to not be in this house. Or the person that I'm with is not. You're pointing fingers. You're saying that's what's wrong. But how would you fix something in that situation? You just get a new job? How do you know that what was it about that job, right? So when you're actually looking for patterns, you're saying, wow, this partner's not right for me because they have these qualities. And every time I go for somebody with these qualities, these same outcomes happen. Oh, funny, isn't it? Because you're looking for patterns. Because if you're looking for problems, then you're just like, well, they're the issue. It's the environment that's the issue. You can just externalize it. And when you're looking for patterns, you're more looking for, how do you respond to these things? Is there a trigger in your life where every time somebody texts you, your blood pressure skyrockets? Like maybe you need some boundaries with that person while you figure out why that's happening, right? So I think patterns is a really healthy way to look at it. And the third, after breathing, finding the patterns, it's really finding support that fits what your outcome that you're looking for is, right? So AA is not going to be helpful if your problem is people pleasing and boundaries. They're going to be like, what are you doing here? You don't have a drinking problem, right? So I can't just, look at the camera and prescribe one size fits all solution, because you have to do those other things first. You have to pause, breathe, get in touch with yourself. Look for the patterns of saying, we're making jokes about it, right? So we're adding humor to this. And one of the patterns I would always find in my life is I would always break up with people in November, early November, because I was like, listen, if you don't think you can take them to a Friendsgiving, you're not going to make it through the holidays. And then you're going to have the awkwardness of New Year's. And then you got Valentine's Day. So if you are with someone and you don't see that whole quarter going well, nip that in the bud.
Sarah.
Dump them by early November.
Sarah.
But it was a pattern that
Sarah. They can't even get cornbread?
I was being really practical.
They can't even get cornbread.
There's no good time to break up between then. So by early November.
There's never really a good time to break up.
I know. That's why I had to be like, ooh.
You had to look at a calendar.
You had to pick. So fall was like the fall of the relationship.
For Halloween though? What if it was a really good couple costume?
It was a pattern that I noticed, so I would look back and I would go, wow, but what I realized was it wasn't just new relationship. It was newness and change. And it could have been, I'm feeling all of this, like I got to do something with all this energy all year. And then by the end of the year, I'm like, something has to give. And I either quit my job and get a new one, or I shave my head and dye my hair or do something crazy. So it was like the newness, right? It was the craving change. And if change wasn't going to happen to me, I was going to make change happen myself, was kind of, and then I realized that was like chaos spiraling. And I was like, oh, I actually am just so used to things being chaotic. I will make my own life chaotic, and I will like, implode my own world because it feels familiar. And those were some of the other patterns that I had to recognize and go, what is my contribution to this? Not saying that I'm blaming the victim and that I'm looking at myself and saying I did this to myself, but what patterns did I always follow where I was picking up those breadcrumbs and ending up at Hansel and Gretel's house? You know what I'm saying?
It was the witch's house. It sounds so good that.
You know what I'm saying? You were there.
You were a scholar. You're supposed to read.
I studied humans.
No, just study. You're right. I'm the different creative. I'm the different one.
That's like, they think that I'm like an English major because they hear communications. And I'm like, I know nothing about punctuation. I use way too many commas, clauses, not my thing.
100% for almost every creative I know is terrible.
But the fact that they see communications and then my punctuate, my editor is so patient.
It's every time people are like, oh, I took accounting. It's like, oh, can you do my taxes? No, motherfucker, I'm a CPA for another company. I can't do your taxes.
Right.
I can't.
No, conflict of interest. Yeah.
No, but I think I appreciate every single one of the things you said. One of the pieces of advice, I'm not an expert, but I have been a person who's made a lot of mistakes. So I've learned a lot of them. So there are sometimes my friends will ask me for my advice or whatever. And I always try to approach things from a place of calm and like take pause. Yeah. Because your initial first reaction is typically your jerk reaction. Oh yeah. Like your knee jerk reaction is like, oh, like you have to act quick unless it's an emergency. Mm-hmm. Why? Or I don't stress something I can't impact. Right. And people think, I can't believe that doesn't bother you. Like, why aren't you mad about that? Like, because I either can control it and I'll fix it, or I can't control it, and why am I stressing about it?
The amount of times that I tell my partner to go write a letter, like you have so much ammunition for these letters that you have to write to the people who can actually do anything about what you're saying.
Yeah. Hey guys, let's take a quick commercial break.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective, or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
I've had a peer. I love him to death. Yeah. We no longer work for the same company. He works somewhere. He's going to school full time, all this. And he would just look, I can't believe you're not mad about this. I'm like, why would I be mad about it? He's like, well, that impacts us. No, it doesn't. It does not impact me whatsoever longer than this conversation. Yeah. He's like, what? And I'm like, I'm not trying to be dismissive or a dick, but I don't have that kind of energy to expel on being upset about something that's going to just occupy space in my mind. Yeah. So taking that breath and taking a step back was always something that's like, hey man, come back when you're calmed down. Right. Because you're going to make a bad decision. You're not looking at this objectively. You're looking at all the knee jerk. What's the fastest thing I can fix on it? The problem might be bigger than that. Right. So what are you really going to fix? You could put a Band-Aid on it?
And I think too, that knee jerk reaction and that impulse to want to jump in really quickly, it's 95 to 99% of the time acting out of emotion. Mm-hmm. And it's because you let the emotions take the lead and you feel some sort of way. It could be anger. It could be sadness. It could be fear. A lot of times it's fear and people think that it's other things. And I come from a background where I thought, how do I put this very nicely to anybody who might not listen to this? My dad was a man who didn't really take a lot of action. Didn't really take initiative and something needed to be done. And it was just kind of there, right? Mm-hmm. So I always valued looking at something and being like, I'm at least going to do something. Like it might not be right. It might not be smart, but at least it was better than doing nothing in my mind. And what I realize now is I might be a bit of a spontaneous person and I've ended up in situations that and I looked at my tattoos for those who are just listening, but I do joke, maybe if I would have thought a little bit more about certain things and not just my tattoos, but situations, conversations, altercations, all different types of things, maybe it would have been worth having a little bit more time on that front end and not being like, something is better than nothing and just running towards it. Did it need to be handled so quickly? And I always felt like that was a good quality, is look at how prompt and immediate I respond to things. But it also is really draining. Oh, very much. And going back to that gregarious introvert, you feel like everybody wants you to be solve, quick, respond, go, yes, in this like immediate microwave society that we have. And I think part of my maturing and aging and whether it's boundaries or just taking time for myself, I really adopted a lot more of that mindset. Not just think before I speak, but think before I do, and just pause. And there's no rush unless there is a rush. And then usually it's like you're driving and then it's like swerving. Like that's when to be immediate responding, like nothing else really.
Yeah. And I'll even equate it to my fiance who's going to be, like I told you so a bunch of times. There are moments, because I'll be the first to admit that 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I was a much more impulsive person because I came from...
You could write a chapter.
That's true. I was much more... I could write, listen, stop being angry at everything. And it was because I came from an area where there's a traumatic response where you're constantly thinking someone's trying you. You came from the hood. Someone's always going to try to push something. You have to be prepared to defend yourself as soon as you can, as fast as you can. You draw a line in the sand immediately because you give an inch. That is all it takes. So I realized that when I came to a much more safer area, which is Orlando, Florida, I still had the same responses and frame of mind. Some iota of disrespect required me to have the giant reaction. And
I'm Diego Montoya. You can prepare to die.
Yeah, and I'm like, why am I flipping out every 15 seconds? Like, it is. You realize like you're looking like a madman because everyone else is like, what, did that warrant it? And then I'm like, all of you just don't understand. Like, you guys are all crazy. It's like, wait a minute, let me sit here. And as you get older, you're like, hold the fuck up. I'm the only one who's mad after. I'm the only one who's feeling any of this. Nothing got resolved. If anything, I made it worse. I've not solved a single problem. And in 3 weeks, I'm still mad about the same thing. And you get older, you like, let me take a step back.
And then people know you're hot-headed.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing.
Or start thinking that.
When I realized that any little thing, that's not healthy. You know, that's not healthy to treat my partner that way or to continue these responses. So again, we didn't wave a magic wand like poof, now I'm sober and my life is so great. I share these videos on social media and I share these insights and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share it on your podcast too, because I'm reminding myself at the same time. And I say that a lot in my videos and in the captions of my videos because I'm not trying to be preachy. I am definitely not in this like cushy other side where everything is perfect and I'm looking back of like, oh, I've solved all of this. I've exercised all my demons and it's
at least
Susie Sunshine. But like, you know, it is constant. You do slip back into, you know, old habits, whether it's little demeanors. You start realizing how many times these things just like flood in. But it's going back, breathing, recognizing the patterns, and then going back through that flow that you realize, well, I'm doing better than I was because at least I'm pausing. At least I'm acknowledging it. At least I'm seeing the pattern and I'm making a choice rather than just Kool-Aid manning through your life.
I will be the first to tell you before we get to the last, like about anything you sharing your future projects and everything. I'll be the first to tell you that there's every once in a while, there's people talk about the angel and demon in your shoulder. There's every once in a while that a part of me says, this is, I don't know if it's toxic or not. I don't know. We're still growing. It's like, I'm nowhere near as mean as I should be. And I should be meaner more often. And I've said that to a friend and he's like, what do you mean? It's like, I feel like because now I'm objectively calmer, people try me more. Where I feel I should every once in a while remind people and I will be in less problems. They're like what? And I'll bring up situations. And I feel like if I flip out at least once or twice to remind people, it might be healthy.
Right. Like how many times do I show the shank before they...
Yeah. And he's like, or you could just, communicate it. He's like, yeah, I get that. But I feel like people learn faster from burning your hand as opposed to me pointing and saying, don't touch that hot stove.
It's because we have that MMA background. Because you're like, I could just...
I just want to curse him out one time and tell him he ain't shit.
I just want to watch you tap.
Just one time. And then from there on, you'll never try me again. It's a quicker lesson.
Oh, you won't.
It's a much quicker lesson.
Yes.
I mean, not a great lesson.
Sweep the leg.
But all right, so we're going to close out. We are at that point. Tell us about what you got coming up in 2026 over this year. I know that we talked about some of these events. Actually, I'm going to probably maybe have you film a promo for it at some point. And where can people find you on social media? So just plug away.
Absolutely. So obviously we already talked about the Women's Executive Council. So if you check out their website, there's information about their gala that's happening here coming up in October. And then after that in November, I'll be doing my more creative thing. So as Kaluos, I'm super excited to have a booth at the Orlando Maker Fair, which if you haven't heard about the Orlando Maker Fair, it's basically just a bunch of nerds getting together and doing a bunch of STEM projects. And so There's like robots duking it out. There's like people who make little cars. There's all different types of really cool things. So I will be slinging my star charts, which normally on my website you can get the full-size star chart, which is this large. But I'll be selling my little mini ones, my little mini star charts at the Maker Faire. So that is November 8th and 9th. And then in between that, obviously, Halloween is coming up, and our friend Ken from Full Frontal Nerdity that we've talked about a bunch, he had me transform him into Hellboy a couple years back with like his horns and everything on top of him. So if you have any Halloween ideas that you want brought to life, slide into my DMs. Let's talk about it. Again, if I'm not the right person for you, I can help put you in connection with them. So book early for Halloween makeup, book early for craft commissions. So the things that I make are great gifts, personalized gifts, whether it's the star chart or other things we create together. So if it's creative, go to Kaluos, that's Kaluohs. And then if it's anything professional, you can use my full name, which is Sarah Marie, spelled the white way, Shoulak, SHOULAK. .com.
Spelled the right way. I know.
It would be Maria.
I know, but you know someone's going to type that full sentence spelled the right way. I don't spell it.
White way.
White way.
White way.
White way. So
you're eating hair. Sorry.
They're eating. I can't. All right, so we're gonna close out. Yeah, it's a fucking weekday. You can tell where it's.
There's a lot of Easter eggs. We're getting punchy.
This is one of those days, guys. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please support Sarah and everything that she's got going on. And of course, check out her books. We have signed copies, not for you, mind your business. And for you keep an eye out for anything coming up. And of course, you can find us Arthur at Last Call on Instagram, social media, and everything. We're going to be expanding and working on some extra projects. We have some brands that we're going to be partnering with and working on, and we're going to be featuring a lot of the local service industry partners that we have. So the Courtesy does have the Nightmare on Orange coming up, so we'll be doing kind of a behind the scenes video and photo event there, working with / Distillery and a couple other projects. Nice. So keep an eye out. If you guys want to be on the show, you have someone who has an interesting time that they interesting story, you have something really top right here. It's going to be a wild one. They have to be a mascot of at least 2 professional teams. 2 professional teams, goddammit. Make sure that you give us a message at arthur@lastcall.com. And that's it, guys. Stay safe. Do the right thing. Be good to each other. Don't text your ex. Avoid Amazon one-click buy. And as always, just drink responsibly. Bye, guys. Hey, guys. Today's episode was brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdity Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had, from flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business. I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Byrne Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Byrne Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.